I'm here with Luke, 17-year-old, longtime student. We're gonna go through some release patterns, particularly with the shorter clubs with the 9-iron, to see what he experiences with body movements, face rotation, to mostly go low. We're gonna get after low today. We'll hit a few high shots. But thanks for coming on, Luke. So Luke and I have been together for about 4 years, maybe a little bit longer, and kid's a really good player. Got a beautiful golf swing, great impact with the left wrist. So we're gonna see a little bit of that today, and we're just gonna explore some new fields. Even though we've been together for a long time, we still have so much to teach, you know, good players learning different movements and different patterns. So we're just gonna explore that, get some feedback from Luke on what he feels, and see how we do. Just without a ball. You're gonna hit it underneath it. And you got what, 58?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're gonna hit it underneath this. What would it look like?
There.
Do it again. Do it again and hold it. How would you get that face to turn down more? Feel that right hand work this way. Okay? So the right hand is gonna come down and turn. See how that face rotates closed? Right? So you're trying to go low by getting it to go faster and go around your body. We're gonna get it to go low by de-lofting the club face by turning that right hand. So my face turns down like this, right? I was holding the shaft, you were going low by still like whipping it through, and your face was still facing the sky. So that's still fighting. It wants to go up, but you're trying to make it go down. Let's see if we can rotate that club face and de-loft it. It'll feel like you're sticking the toe in the ground, but it'll come out very low. So if you're gonna take a 58 degree and go underneath this. There you go. That's lower. That's a lot lower. So what we just tapped into with Luke is trying to change the release pattern to get something different off the club face. And he's trying to go low with the face still facing the sky, but ripping it around his body, trying to exit low. What we really want to do is just de-loft the club face, so it just takes a different wrist pattern. So he had the intention that he wanted by trying to get underneath this shaft, but didn't have the right components working properly to do so. So we just introduced a new release pattern, getting the wrist to turn down, so that toe feels like it's going to stick in the ground, but it's just de-lofting the club, using the leading edge to go into the ground. We're still using bounce, not as much of it, and just turning it down so we can get the face to rotate and go lower. This is a very skilled player. Luke is 16, has been playing for a long time, Toyota Tour Cup. We've been together for about 4 years, and we didn't tap into this yet. Harder there. Let's get this right hand harder to turn down this way. Rolling that right hand over. See how much shorter my finish is, yeah. Right? Because I'm leaving it all right there. Right, it's not going to go through as much, so it's just going to turn down, push right into the ground. And that's what it feels like for me, is when my hands are falling down towards the ball, I've got some rotation, and then my hands feel like they're just turning down. That face rotates. So this also spills over into longer shots, into a different release pattern for my full shot. But I work on it, hitting these little 40-yarders, but really seeing how much I can turn that face down and de-loft it and hit a 58 like this high, and it'll stay in the air for 40, 50 yards. We're just exploring feels. So I introduced Luke to a new feel through a couple drills, and through him exploring his feels to build his blueprint. He's starting to feel what it's like, and he's doing it, but now we want to do it more. And little light bulbs come off, and it's like, that's new, that's a new feel. Gives him something to work on when he's on his own. Let's fly it into that tree, which we'll say is 60 yards. We're hitting just a little 40. Now we're just going to take it up a little bit more, kind of with very similar release pattern. That's cool. Yeah, go again. All we're doing with Luke right now, we've spent a couple years working on the path, his sequencing, basic body movements to get everything we want to work at a high level. So now that we've got a beautiful foundation laid with how he swings a golf club and how his body moves, we can start to open up the toolbox and start giving him new release patterns, new body movements to get different speeds, different trajectories, different spin rates on ball flights so he can get to more hole locations. Now we've moved into about a 100-yard shot with a 54 degree to see if he can flight that down and get that toe to turn down again without hooking it or pulling it. So if it really turns down, will that toe kind of stick in the ground, or will it be a bigger release where this last one was up here?
Yeah, it'll stick.
It'll stick. Yeah, it'll stick because we're going to try as hard as we can to hit that thing as low as we possibly can. Again, just to explore different feels to open up the toolbox. Never know when we're going to hit a 54 degree that's got to stay underneath branches or whatever it is. So if we have it, we know how to do it, and we rehearse it and practice it. We know the movements to do it. So then we go practice, we explore feels and speeds. When we go play, we give it a shot if we need it. We pull it off or we don't. If we don't, we come back and learn more. If we do, we got one more tool in the box. Fading a tiny bit, huh?
Yeah.
You can't even, you're turning it down that hard, but it's not turning over. Actually going a little bit left to right. Here's what I saw up there. So how much that face is turned down, this right hand has still got some bend in it because it never worked this way to face that club to the sky. That left hand is still working flat, that left wrist. So it comes down and strikes. It's working this way, and his body's really rotated to lead this. His body stops and the head will pass his hands, giving us the open face. So he's got a lot of force into the ground. He's rotating, turning that face down by that right hand working this way, de-lofting it, and the flight's coming down quite a bit lower, and the compression's a lot deeper too. Let's go 9. So we've introduced a new feel for Luke. In between each shot, he's gonna take it slow to understand and get familiar with what's actually happening in the wrist conditions. So Luke will come back slow, getting a nice feel for how it's being assembled. Hold, okay? Show me what would happen. Good. Okay. And then if I see something that could be a little bit different, I'll come in and just show a movement. So come on back. Then we get here, and in the transition, I'll have him feel this, and then on the way down, I'm gonna roll that right hand. I'm basically just rolling the handle, so as it's coming down the plane, he's got more bow in that left wrist, come down, sticking the toe in the ground, keep going. And then we're really experiencing that finish, where we still have some bend in that right wrist. The left is going to be very flat. We got the toe turned down. So I take him through the movements. He explores the feels through slow motion. So his eyes, his senses are fully aware of what he's intending to do and understanding the movements. And then he puts it more into action with some slower drills, hitting 9-iron, maybe 50, 60 yards, and then building it up, hitting full shots. Building his own blueprint for what it feels like. I can explain how it works. He's got to experience what it feels like. That's the big connection between a coach and a player, is the engineered knowledge versus the field understanding. So now I pass it on to him, and I can sit and watch Luke hit balls for 15 minutes without saying a word, just letting him explore it. That's nice. I can listen to that sound all day long. A touch softer in the transition, so the arms have a chance to fall a little bit deeper before they start getting pulled by rotation. One of Luke's tendencies that we've done for years is when he gets to the top of his swing, he'll sometimes start a little bit early with the rotation rather than getting into that left side, so his hands and arms from here will fall this way as he's getting into this left. He'll sometimes, and that's something we fought for years, where he'd get up here and it would be slightly over this way, slight over the top because his top would rotate, rather than being passive in the transition, letting the hands and arms fall. I fall into my left, and then I start to rotate, and then I'm pushing off the ground with my left side, as I get to impact the early extension, and that's what 4 years ago. You should have seen where this kid, you should have seen where this kid was striking the ball. He was here. And it took us 4 years to get him to be like this. So that old tendency of his is still in there. And for him, it'll start at the transition where the top starts to rotate just a little bit too early. I can push him sooner than most because he understands, he's such a great athlete, he understands his body and his movement so well. I can ask him to do things where other students I might have to give him more reps to get feels. But for him, it's like we're at the point I'm like, okay, let's get on with it. So now I'm gonna push speed on him to where he can keep it organized through feel, but really get after it and hit it as low and hard as he can, turning that face down, keeping it synced up with his body rotation.
So if I want to go like even lower, how would I do that?
You would go a little bit further back in the stance. The shoulder and spine tilt, we're gonna get further into the left side, this way. I'm gonna drop when I get up here, I'm gonna drop here, I'm gonna be further into my left, and then I'm not gonna push off the ground so soon. I'm gonna get in here, so now I'm moving low point further up, and then when I'm also turning this club face down and rotating it, more shaft lean, bottom's moved up several more inches just because I fell into my left this way and then rotate, and now I'm getting it to strike here and I'm really compressing. So the divot becomes like real nasty and deep because I'm getting so steep down and turning it down this way because I moved into my left side, and I'm not so much pushing off as I am going into it and staying there. It'll push up, this left hip pushes up and in, but I don't rise back up. My chest doesn't come back up. It just stays here and turns. It feels like everything's going deep down into the ground. When we go slow, our body can sense and get familiar with what we're intending to do. And the eyes see and feel when I go this way, I can see my shoulder moving towards the target versus it not. So my eyes are picking up on what my body's doing, all cycling information on how I want the body to move and the club to react. So I took Luke wider in the base so we have a little bit more to fall into. If I'm too narrow, I can't move left, I'll lose my balance. So if I get the right width in the setup, it allows me to move into that left side and then turn, and now I've got a nice stable base. When I do rotate and push up, I'm not too narrow where I get here. It's like I can't go any further, so I have to stop and rotate. Feel it falling into the left. Yeah, good. Yeah, good. Yeah, forward the hands are. Good, there you go. Oh, excellent, Luke. Let's explore an even wider base, like uncomfortably wide, just to see. It's okay to explore different feels. It's in the lines of over-exaggerating, but not so much. We're just exploring parameters of how far can I go until it's too far. The knowledge that we gather along the way, it's like, oh, we're getting a particular shot and I have to go this wide for some reason. It's like, I know what to do from here. My body's been in this place before, so I'm not sitting there scrambling on thoughts like I've never played here before, so what do I do? It's like, no, I practice from here, I practice from here, I practice straight up, I practice bent over. I want to see how my body responds to so many different scenarios so I understand what it does and what it feels like. I never feel stuck when I have a particular golf shot.
Go under that?
Go over, yeah. It's a high 9-iron.
9-iron.
Fine. What we watched Luke do was respond to stimuli. I simply took the elevations, low to medium to high, and he looked at them and his body recognized what needed to happen with his hands to get low, a little bit higher, and a little bit higher. And obviously I took that thing high and he's looking at me like, 9-iron there? I go, yeah, figure it out. And I saw his body get here and kind of stop and tilt back this way. And then it got down and then he threw it up a little bit. Our bodies know more than our brains do. And we have to always recognize that and understand that and allow for our bodies to experience feels to get what our intentions are. So if we're always contained in this little tiny area doing technical things, then we're stuck there. And if it's the only way we practice, then we go out and play in this little tiny area, not responding to stimuli, which is a low shot, medium, high shot, whatever it is. Our bodies will do what needs to be done. And as we continue practice and getting coached on different patterns of release and body movements, then we open up our toolbox on what we can do. Through practice and repetition, our bodies start to get familiar, and then we could take to the course and repeat it when needed. What's a difference that you feel between low and high?
I think low is more, I'll try to get into it, finish more up here. And then high, I try to kind of stay back on it more and kind of release it, the hands a little bit more.
Okay.
Then when I hit low.
That's it. I mean, it could be that simple. His feels are his feels. I can demonstrate what it looks like and I can help him through some of the feels, but then he can just run off and start working with them and experience the body movements of what it takes to stay back on a shot and get the hands still to lead in here and release sooner, or to get it into your left side and turn the chest down. That's how it works. He's got to experience what it feels like. So we just had about a 25-mile-an-hour wind pickup. So Luke's now hitting 6-iron. I asked him, the wind's coming kind of at us, maybe a little bit from the right. And I asked Luke to hit it low, hard, and straight. So even though we've got a little bit of a cross with a hard wind, I want him to figure out through what he feels of what it takes for the face rotation and the body movements to be just right on his blueprint to get what I asked him to do, which is low and straight. And he just hit a fantastic shot. It didn't move. And we probably have a wind coming from, right now it feels like about 11 o'clock, mostly straight at us. Really good exercise, just to see if your body can do it without you dragging it through here, and just see if you can organize the right components to do what the task is. Yeah, baby, low, low, low. It's okay to have a little fun too while you practice, because golfing is hard and sucking at it. We can learn a lot from sucking at it. It's okay. Yeah, beautiful. It's important when we practice to use our senses. You know, sometimes we get so tied up in technical thoughts. So practicing in conditions like this, or whatever condition it is, when we can take in the environmental cues of what we want to happen with speeds, flights, shapes, whatever it is, and our eyes and our senses set up to that image, and then our body responds to it. It's very important. And we often spend too much time practicing through cerebral, getting technical feels. They're important, but we can shift the practice and have fun with it, just responding to stimuli, which is wind, targets, trajectories, whatever it is. So knowing how to shift back and forth with your practice session and have some fun with it, set up and do some things you wouldn't normally do, and let your body experience different feels so you can explore, again, a bigger toolbox.
Oh, ball.
Luke is a really good basketball player. His whole school recognized him as basketball. Not very big, but the kid's really good. And then he quit basketball for about a year and focused on golf. And about a month ago, he came to me and said, hey, I want to play basketball again. I miss it. I said, fantastic, yeah, go do it. Some of the things that you've learned going back to basketball at just golf, or what?
Well, for starters, with basketball, with my jumper, it's kind of the same with the swing. It's like the pace. You can't be too rushed or you can't be too slow. You gotta have a good pace. And then with bringing basketball to golf, it's more of a reaction sport. So you just react, you just be an athlete, which is something a lot of golfers don't really have, which I think basketball is good for that.
Marries the two?
Yeah.
And with basketball, you still have learned technical skills. You still have to learn how to, positioning, movement, technical, physical movements on how to shoot, how to get your body in an athletic stance to defend or be on offense. In basketball, you're reacting to a play, your body's always moving. In training basketball, there's constant movement. In training golf, there's no movement. So where do we get stuck? We get stuck right here, trying to do technical movements through thought, which it takes some to understand movements, but there needs to be more movement, more reacting. So again, coming to practice golf, it's important to maybe spend a little bit of time on some technical things like we did today with wrist conditions and release patterns, but then allowing your body to react, looking at stimuli and letting go, letting your body get familiar with movements to do certain intentions. If we don't release it, we'll never know. And then we go play by pure conscious effort where there's no reacting. And when we watch players like you, players like me, certainly watching on TV, it's pure reacting. It's pure response to stimuli because we own our skills. But even as we learn our skills, we can still be in the right mind state to allow our body to move. Just exploring different fields, building our own personal blueprint. Well done.